The House bill ends the Obamacare nightmare and gives health care decisions back to the states and back to the American people.
All right, that was President Trump earlier today. Now, this morning he went to Capitol Hill. He met with Republicans to discuss the legislation to repeal and replace Obamacare. Now, the president believes the legislation will pass on Thursday. Joining me now, editor-in-chief, Life Zet, Fox News contributor, a hugely successful nationally syndicated radio host, Laura Ingraham, is back with us. All right, so they definitely made progress. Tom Price has said this is a three-step process. And then, of course, then it's got to go to the Senate. Then it's going to come back. They're going to get into conference together. All right. So the Freedom Conference guys said they want two things to get on board. Otherwise, they have 35 or so members against. Repeal the Obamacare mandates and essential health benefits. And then they said the rest that they can go along with the understanding that the Health and Human Services Secretary has the authority on his own to do a lot of the things that they specifically asked for on their wish list. That will happen. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Mark Meadows just a few hours ago said that right now they don't have the votes. Now, this is last-minute bargaining, I think you're seeing going on, Sean, and I do think that as we're watching this play out, it's brinksmanship right to the end. When either joking or half serious, Donald Trump said, you guys are going to lose your seats. I mean, some of those guys on Capitol Hill took it as an implicit threat. Like, you don't support me, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to campaign for you. So it's a little disturbing that this early on in the administration, the Trump folks have to resort to the arm twisting. Now, that's what happens, but it doesn't usually happen this early in administration. So that's a little concerning. I think better groundwork could have been done on the health care bill by the Ryan people in the White House to get this to really where it was supposed to be, a full repeal and at the same time a full replace, which is not what's happening.
Yeah, look, and I've talked to every side on this. Even the 2015 bill that I know a lot of the Freedom Caucus members wanted, that was not a full repeal in essence. It was more than what we have. This will not be, and it all comes back to reconciliation, the way the bill was passed, the way they have to work with it in the Senate. I understand all of those things. The more important issue to me is as we get to phase 2 and 3, get to the Senate, then we get into conference, nobody will know for a long time what this bill is going to look like because the Senate doesn't take it up until next week, and that's frustrating for those of us that are trying to understand it.
Yeah, and I think the phase 3, as certainly I understand it, and as Tom Cotton has explained it, that's kind of a pipe dream. The idea that phase 3 is going to garner 60 votes. Well, if that's the case, where you're going to have across state lines and you're going to break the anti-competitive behavior of all these, drug companies, healthcare companies, you're going to bring prices down with real competition. If you have the votes to do that now, then just do a simultaneous repeal bill as you a replace bill as you repeal the other legislation. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, if phase 3 is going to happen, then do it now and push the Democrats to the wall on that competitiveness issue, which I think you could break some Democrats your way with enough public pressure that I think could be brought to bear. But this kind of staggered approach, and Tom Price is going to do his regulatory stuff. Maybe.
Look, you and I like to hold these guys accountable. I don't really care what party they're a part of.
Right.
To me, after 8 years, they just didn't seem ready. They weren't prepared.
No,
they didn't build consensus before they rolled it out. And I hope they learn from it because we've got 2 budgets to pass.
Yeah.
We've got tax reform. We've got a lot of work to do here. And you know what? If it ends up being a mishmash, here's the bottom line. If they don't get this right, they broke it, they own it, and they will take all of the political heat they would rightly deserve. So at the end of the day, it better be right because they're forcing the president to get behind it.
You're making the point, Sean. You're making a great point. And I think, look, it would have been better if instead of just handing it all off to Paul Ryan, the White House came in and said, this has to be done with 5 things have to be done, or 3 things have to be done. This has to be done. We'll work around the edges with you on the replacement bill, but this repeal has to happen, and we're going to immediately have a 2-year, phase-in period, and these pro-competition measures have got to be immediately on the table for the American public to see, and we're going to argue that, and we're going to litigate that, and we're going to move on that for the next 2 years, and we're going to win on that. That would have been a better way to go, I think. I mean, that's my view.
If they get there in the end, that's fine. But if they get there and they don't have, if people end up paying more money for inferior care, and I will tell you
that
that
will happen under this legislation. Well, under this legislation, what's done now, it will happen.
That's the fix that they were trying to work on today, and again, we'll know more by the end of tomorrow. All right, we'll have more Laura Ingraham.